How many Canadians agree with me that it seems beyond clear that Mark Carney is working for the financial interests of Brookfield Asset Management and the United States of America rather than Canada? Brookfield just announced an $80 billion clean energy deal with the United States, which in a joint press release they say will lead to the US being energy dominant. Brookfield stock is up about 50% since Carney was elected. Of the hundreds of companies that he's invested in, the vast majority of them are doing extremely well. And just out in the open at press conferences, Carney is now naming businesses like GE Hitachi that he is financially linked to. It's becoming more and more apparent that Carney is more concerned with the financial situation of himself and Brookfield Asset Management rather than everyday Canadians. GDP dropped 1.6% in his first quarter, and the way him and Doug Ford have dealt in particular with these trade negotiations is insanity. Every single savvy world leader leads with how they can work together with the United States. Clearly, Trump is transactional. The way to negotiate with him is to talk to him about Canadian steel, Canadian aluminum, the products that we have that can be helpful to the USA. The absolute worst strategy is clearly to antagonize him. And that's exactly what the Canadian government has done. It's now 100% clear that Mark Carney was aware of the ad that went out during the World Series that Trump saw, that the Ontario government crazily, did you know they were going to spend $75 million of your taxpayer dollars on this ad? Trump sees it, and another 10% Canadian tariffs. We're already at 35%. This is also going to hurt our ability to negotiate the USMCA, but at home, it's politically useful for the Liberal Party of Canada because Mark Carney can play his phony game, and the way he answers the media is so inauthentic. It's so clear the guy's a corporate sociopath who's BSing corporate board speaking his way through these press conferences. But it's good. It's ultimately good for Mark Carney politically to have an antagonistic relationship with Donald Trump, because at home he can sell it to Canadians as the economy, the reason the unemployment rate is at 7.1%, second highest in the G7. The reason the youth male unemployment rate is 22%, which is unheard of in a first world country. Only 1 in 4 young men are unemployed at the same time as we're bringing in millions of people a year, a target of 1.5 million people coming in, and they're overshooting those numbers. The Canadian government is overshooting those massive numbers. They were saying they were going to bring in 663,000 temporary foreign workers at the same time as the youth unemployment rate is at 20, is the highest in the G7. If that's not traitorous, I don't know what is. And it's all these green initiatives, all these global warming BS where Trudeau's green slush fund, Carney's admitted on videotape, we make a hell of a lot of money from this green stuff. He says something to the effect of, people don't talk about this aspect of it much, but we're going to make a heck of a lot of money off of this. And if you actually look closely at what it is that Carney's doing, it's beyond apparent that he is working for his own pocketbook, the pocketbook of Brookfield Asset Management, looking to control the society more and more and more. Criminalize dissent. Bill C9, Bill C8, they're looking to literally criminalize dissent. Bill C9 would see the federal government able to unilaterally cut your internet service. They cut me off at TikTok at 30,000 followers because they don't like anybody who criticizes them about immigration. And Bill C8 expands the definition of hate speech to so-called fomentation of detestation and vilification. And we know when you start making laws about emotions people evoke in the same society where you let criminals roam free, we're heading towards communism, where the political opponents are jailed and actual criminals are allowed to stay on the street. It's crystal clear that that's what's happening in Canada as Carney looks to enrich himself as much as possible. He clearly could not give two shits about how the general Canadian population is doing. These immigration numbers are too insane for that to be the case, and to okay an ad that misrepresents Ronald Reagan. You can't contextualize a 1970 ad in the year 2025. It's a totally different context. It's not fair to run it and act as though 55 years later it means the exact same thing. Of course it doesn't. You can't run any ad, anything from 55 years ago and just say, oh, this is relevant in an absolute sense to today. Because I don't think anybody can doubt that the tariffs have been fantastic for the United States economically, whereas Canada's economy since 2015, Justin Trudeau being elected, has been an absolute disaster. We've now dropped GDP per capita, which is considered the best measure of how your average citizen is doing. We have dropped in 6 consecutive quarters. That's a year and a half of consecutive drops in GDP per capita. So how can you possibly justify bringing hundreds of thousands of people into the country at the same time as your economy is wobbly? And it's clear, study after study have indicated, this was indisputable until about 12 years ago, that liberal immigration policies allowing many immigrants into the country hurt your native population economically. And that's exactly what we're seeing play out in Canada right now. We have to make noise about the fact that Carney is clearly more interested in his own financial interest than the financial interest of Canada. And this $80 billion Brookfield deal is just the most recent clear violation of the Conflict of Interest Act, which hopefully we can see prosecuted soon. Please like, share, subscribe, join, become a member. Grab some gear, donate, really appreciate it. Patriotic Canadians need to unite.